Hi, third grade. We are here with a new science lesson. We have been learning a lot about weather, and now it's time to learn about climate. Let's get started by taking a look at some very important vocabulary that's going to help us understand our lessons about climate. Our first vocabulary word is climate.
Clima,
Climate is the pattern of weather at a certain place over a long period of time. So, weather and climate are not the same thing. They are two different things. Weather is temporary. It changes from day to day and even hour to hour. On the other hand, climate is how weather and environment conditions are over a long period of time. Climate can change, but it takes tens or hundreds of years to change.
el tiempo y el clima son dos cosas diferentes. El tiempo es temporal, cambia de día a día e incluso de hora a hora. El clima es como las condiciones meteorológicas y ambientales son durante un largo periodo de tiempo. El clima puede cambiar a lo largo de decenas o cientos de años.
For example, let's say it's raining out today. Rain would be the weather for that day or for that hour, but it could change. It's not going to be raining all the time. Now, for an example of climate, we see some different pictures here showing the different climates that we would see around the world. In Pennsylvania, we have a very temperate climate, which means that we experience a lot of changes in our weather. It's not always hot, it's not always cold. The weather is changing with the seasons. Whereas somewhere like the Arctic, the climate is always cold and icy. And if you look at somewhere like the Savannah Desert, the climate is always dry and hot. And if you look over here, we have a rainforest. In rainforests, their climate is always hot and wet. Let's watch this quick video to help us understand the difference between weather and climate.
Take a look outside your window. Is it hot and sunny? Is it cloudy and rainy? Is there snow on the ground? When you look out the window, you're seeing what the weather is like today. Weather is only temporary. For example, a blizzard can turn into a flood after just a few warm spring days. Climate, on the other hand, is more than just a few warm or cool days. Climate describes the typical weather conditions in an entire region for a very long time, 30 years or more. Keeping an eye on changing weather can help us plan ahead. We know that if thunderclouds are forming overhead, it's probably a good idea to stay inside. But it's important to keep an eye on changes in Earth's climate, too. And NASA has observed that Earth is getting warmer. Keeping track of Earth's sea level is one way that we can know how quickly the climate is changing. As Earth's climate warms, ice in Antarctica and Greenland is melting. This causes the level of the oceans to rise. NASA satellites can measure sea level rise from space. They can also track changes in the climate by measuring the clouds. We know that changes in the number, size, or location of clouds could be caused by a change in Earth's climate. NASA satellites are always orbiting Earth, looking down at our oceans and clouds, and they monitor Earth's climate in other ways too. It's important to keep an eye on our planet and all the ways that it's changing. Right now, it's the only one we've got. Find out more about our Earth at NASA Climate Kids.
Just like the video explained, weather is temporary. It changes day to day and even hour to hour. You can look out your window and see the weather and what it is today. You can even follow the changes in the weather throughout the week. However, climate stays the same for tens and hundreds of years at a time. Scientists have to watch and monitor the Earth closely to see the changes in climate. It's not as obvious as what we experience with the day-to-day weather. Our next vocabulary word is axis.
Eje.
An axis is a line through the center of a spinning object. So the Earth has an axis. There is an invisible line through the center of the Earth called an axis. This axis shows us where the south and north poles are on the Earth. It's the bottom and top of the Earth. Notice how the Earth is not straight up and down, but it's on a tilt. We also see that the illustrator used lines to show movement. That's because the Earth is always spinning on its axis. Not only is the Earth spinning, but it is also rotating. As the Earth spins on its axis, any part of the Earth that is facing the sun is having daylight. Any part of the Earth that is facing away from the sun is experiencing nighttime. It takes about 24 hours for the Earth to spin completely around. That's how we have daytime and nighttime. Because the Earth spins, not all parts of the Earth see daylight at one time. You can see in this picture that the sun is showing light on this side of the Earth, and there is no light on the bottom side of the Earth. So the people over here are experiencing daytime, and the people down here are experiencing nighttime. If the Earth is rotating around the sun this way, anybody on this part of the Earth would experience daylight first. So, for example, in Pennsylvania, we have a 4-hour time difference than people in Alaska. So, when we're awake and getting ready for the day at 7 o'clock in the morning, people in Alaska are still sleeping because it's still in the middle of the night for them. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning for them. And then later in the evening, when we're eating dinner, they're just finishing school. Now, like I said, the Earth doesn't just spin, but it also rotates. The Earth rotates around the sun as it is spinning. It takes 365 days for the Earth to go around the sun. So the Earth is rotating around the sun and spinning at the same time. Since the Earth's axis is on a tilt, depending where the Earth is around the sun, we have different seasons. This brings me to our last vocabulary word, which is the word season.
Estaciones.
The seasons are the time of year with different weather patterns. Depending on the time of year, we have different seasons. We can have spring, summer, fall, and winter. Spring always leads into summer. Summer always leads into fall or autumn. And autumn always leads into winter. And then the cycle starts back over again because winter leads into spring. The environment looks different depending on the season. We also dress differently and do different activities based on the seasons. Because the Earth's axis is on a tilt, certain parts of the Earth are further away from the sun at certain parts of the year. So if you look down here, if you are on this part of the Earth, Based on how the axis is tilted toward the sun, you would be experiencing fall. And as the Earth moves, you're not moving your location on the Earth, but the Earth is moving its location around the sun. So, with the Earth at this tilt, you would be experiencing winter. And as the Earth keeps moving and tilting around the sun in different locations, we can experience spring and then summer. Do you notice how, in this example, the person experiencing summer is the closest to the sun, and the person experiencing winter is the furthest from the sun? That's why when we have summer, it is hot because the earth is tilted closer toward the sun. And when we have winter, it's cold because the earth is tilted away from the sun. Different places around the world experience their seasons at different times of the year based on their location on the earth. All right, boys and girls, I hope you have enjoyed learning about climate. This is some really interesting stuff, and I can't wait to learn some more. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.